So as we do many nights, as we did dedications for people who are experiencing illness, difficulty, passed away, and as a monastic, we get pretty regular reminders of the vicissitudes of human existence, and that's I remember Ajahn Chah giving a definition of a religious seeker. Saying one who is a religious seeker is one who sees the danger in samsara, in the round of birth and death, the round of existence, the round of being and becoming, and sort of seeing the difficulty in that, seeing the limitation in that, seeing its problematic nature in that way. Nobody sets out wishing to experience difficulty and dukkha, but it's just part and parcel of this human existence, and to be one who one sees that clearly and recognizes it, but then sort of the Buddha's response to that is seeking the way out rather than sitting around whinging and complaining about it. It's what's the way out? What's the solution? What's the alternative? And certainly the affect of one who has seen clearly, had some kind of realization of Dhamma, of truth, is one of happiness, of well-being, so these go together. It's not it's through the seeing clearly that one is able to establish oneself in a sense of real peace, well-being, stability, one of the epithets for Nibbana is the unshakable, it's unshakability, and it's really something to be encouraging oneself towards, but it is important to recognize what's the flavor of the the way of practice that the Buddha laid down for the overcoming of dukkha, what comes to mind is the Buddha's advice to his own stepmother, Mahapajapati, when she had been ordained for a period of time. It's not really clear how long, and but then she had been leading a community and taken on responsibilities and duties with the nuns community, and then but then decided to go off to the forest, seclusion, and to practice for liberation, and ask for some advice as I'm practicing, how do I gauge what's in line with the Dhamma and Vinaya, what's in line with the teaching, because she'd probably been practicing long enough to know very clearly that sometimes this mind is just so untrustworthy, and it can be deluding us all the time, or at least long enough to get us in trouble and create problems and difficulties for us. End up doing and saying things that so what was I thinking? Yeah. So anyway, the Buddha gave a brief teaching, but it's really quite important in the sense that it's something that one can carry with one, whether one is going off into solitude to practice, but as one trains and practices and cultivates this path, what is it that helps us decide what is in accord with Dhamma and Vinaya, what's in accord with truth, what's in accord with this the Buddha's teaching. And the Buddha says, well, that was if it leads to dispassion, not to passion, you can be sure that it is Dhamma, it's Vinaya, or it leads to detachment and not bondage. It leads to detachment, not to more clinging. That it leads to shedding, letting go, to rather than accumulating. These are that it leads to modesty rather than and not self-aggrandizement. There's a certain humility there that is one's not trying to puff oneself up or trying to assert oneself or trying to make an impression of who one is. That sense of humility, modesty, rather than self-aggrandizement, leads to contentment and not to discontent. That it leads to seclusion and not to entanglement. That it leads to the arousing of persistence or energy, not to laziness. And the last one is that it leads to not being burdensome, rather than being burdensome, or being easy to look after, not being difficult to look after. So these 8 things are what help one to remind oneself or guide oneself into what's in accordance with Dhamma Vinaya, what's in accordance with the teachings, And so that those are really important. It's a short discourse. It's in the numerical discourses, the eights, the Anguttara eights, and it's always a good one to review, because this is what leads one out of this endless round of just on dukkha, of suffering, of discontent, of confusion, of dissatisfaction, out of the realm of birth and death, both in terms of on a cosmological level, but also just on moment to moment mood and mental states, constant kind of up and down, liking this, not liking that, I want that, I don't want that, should be this way, shouldn't be that way. This endless round is so tedious. And the endless round of desire, of thinking that if I just got this, if I was able to gratify this particular fantasy, or that particular wish, and then everything would be all right. And it doesn't mean one doesn't do anything. I mean, that actually frees oneself up for a lot of energy, as is in the teaching. It leads to sort of aroused persistence, aroused energy, rather than to laziness or to indolence. So it's a these are qualities that turn help to turn the mind to a returning to Dhamma, returning to the teachings, teaching and the training. Of course, I'm just finishing a period of seclusion myself, and it's always for me, or I think for most of us, it's generally a time of, say, renewal and re-establishing a connection with the teaching and the training, and that's to the sense of, and of course that's one of the things that the Buddha points out. It is say this Dhamma Vinaya is that which leads to seclusion rather than entanglement, or leads to solitude rather than to a lot of company and kind of entanglement with things, people in particular. It's not I mean, even in the time of the Buddha, it was never a complete sort of aloofness all the time, but there's a sense of, there is these qualities of solitude that one say, aspires to and encourages oneself towards. And I say in the commentaries it goes into the different types of solitude and just physical solitude. Of course, we're blessed to be in a place of physical solitude, being in the forest, being in the countryside, being in an area that is surrounded by nature. It's very, very soothing. It's very settling. Of course, it's never going to be perfect. was last night about 11 o'clock. Chainsaws going off in the valley here. So it's you never know what's going to happen. But it does. But in general, just that there's the being in a natural environment, being in a place of more stillness and less less things happening, less people. It's just very helpful. The solitude of the citta vivek, the solitude of the mind, solitude of the heart. Because the external solitude is very helpful, but you can't always depend on it. And you can be putting your mindfulness and attention, effort toward settling the heart. Mindfulness itself, having a continuity of awareness, having an abiding of within this quality of knowing clearly. It's a place of, it's an internal refuge that one can be turning attention to and developing a continuity and developing a sense of comfort and ease in the Thai forest tradition, and say for myself as a young monk, hearing Ajahn Chah speak over and over again, it's just really returning to the quality of knowing, of being the one who knows, in that sense of being aware, being awake, being alert, being the Buddho. Sometimes you use it as a practice, just using the kind of the short mantra of the name of Buddha, to help recite, to try to anchor the mind with an object, so that one can become more familiar with being present. But in the end, one has to drop the verbalization and the kind of the strain, and just be able to dwell in awareness. And that is a citta viveka. It's a seclusion of the heart. And as the heart has that continuity of awareness, of attention, it starts to gather, and of course there needs to be a contentment there. There needs to be a sense of kind of appreciation of seeing clearly, and it has to be comfortable. One has to be happy with it, with the experience of being present, because there is a certain addiction to distraction that we all have, and just reminding ourselves to be present. And the last aspect of seclusion or solitude that's talked about is it's more around the qualities of being. In Pali, it's upadhi viveka, and upadhi is the basis of being. And basis of being are the 5 khandhas, that form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. those elements that we grasp at and cling to and assume a sense of identity and self. And we have to be comfortable with relinquishing that, letting that go, which is different than, say, annihilating it or negating it. It's just seeing the limitation, seeing seeing the bane within these aggregates of being that we keep identifying with, keep hoping that they're going to fulfill, keep worrying about whether they're going. Am I going to get it right or not? It's all that sense of me and that I-making and mind-making tendency to build a sense of self around ordinary experience, body and mind. And it's just that much. It's just an experience of body and mind, arises and ceases. It can be known, it can be let go. And that's that's Ajahn Chah sort of saying, there's nothing that much that we need to do. Just know and let go. And when we say it, it doesn't sound like much. But of course, to be able to keep returning to that and to keep a clarity and kind of a conviction or persistence within that. Just knowing and letting go, and knowing that's where our true refuge is, where true peace is. So it's a sense of returning to the fundamentals of Dhamma Vinaya. Reminding ourselves, okay, what's in accord, what's in line with Dhamma and Vinaya. And it's, of course, the way the Buddha teaches is around that sense of, rather than some categorical answer, it's this, it's not that, it's what are the causes and conditions that lead to this experience? What does it mean to let go of that, for it not to be there? So this process of understanding how things come to be, how they come to cease, the establishing oneself in these qualities. So this evening is a Saturday night after the lunar observance night. I'm going to talk on and on. I'll just leave that for reflection.